Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about the Magicka Nightblade PvE build for Clockwork City. The first part of the video I want to quickly go through the basics, and then I will show you a target dummy parse and analyze the combat metrics a little bit, so you kinda get used to how Nightblades do damage and you see the rotation. This is a dungeon and trials build, optimized for dungeon trials, but you also can use it for solo if you would like to. I also do have a written guide on my website, few different gear setups. Like you will get similar DPS with most gear setups. More important is that you have a good rotation and more like group buffs and all that kind of things. You see our stats are pretty nice. We're using the Apprentice Mundus because spell damage Mundus is the best one. If you play solo, you could use the Lover Mundus to get more penetration. Buff food wise, I'm using the max health, max Magicka. Now, usually it's enough to sustain. If you still have troubles, you can use the Witch Mother's Brew. Gives you a lot of Magicka recovery and you still have a lot of health and Magicka. And with that you will definitely have no sustain issues, and the DPS difference is very small. Potions, power pot, gives a sorcery, prophecy and restores Magicka. In terms of race, High Elf, Dark Elf and Bretons all work. I prefer High Elf. Get Flame, Frost and Shock damage, 10% max Magicka and more Magicka recovery. Now in terms of gear. So 5 Julianos. Julianos is always a strong set, one of the strongest. You want to have all Divines with max Magicka. Monster set wise, you can use 2 Valkin, you also could run 2 Elambris if you want to. You can run 1 Kina and for example 1 Slimecrow to get another spell creep bonus. It's up to you. I just prefer Valkin because it gives us a nice health value, and because we are ranged as a Nightblade, we can't use Groftar or stuff like that. Moondancer jewelry and the Moondancer in stuff infused. Now here you can run shock or flame damage. If your group already has a lot of concussion uptime, then you can run flame because it will give you a little bit more DPS. Maelstrom lightning stuff on the back bar. Now the second setup I have on my website is without Maelstrom weapons or any special weapons, so it will be easier to get. And again, damage difference is very small. Here I run Nirnhound with weapon damage. Why Nirnhound? Because this is my AoE bar for trash fights. We'll just do more AoE damage overall. This. You want to have fire stuff front, shock back bar. Because this here flame stuff increases your damage done with single target abilities by 8%, and lightning stuff increases your AoE damage by 8%. Now very important, most people forget the first part of the text here. Gain bonus effects while you have a destruction stuff ability slotted. I have Blockade of Storms on my back bar and have the destruction ulti on my front bar. If you do this, you're gonna lose 8% single target DPS. Don't do this. Need one of those things on each bar. Very important. Other than that, maybe about the Asylum weapon. I'm not including the perfected weapons in my builds because barely anyone will have them. The new trial, you need to do the hard mode, and it's very difficult, not easy. Sure, they also drop from the leaderboards, but you probably need to have a lot of luck to get the right one. Champion points 75 here because of the exploiter passive. Then it's a pretty standard setup, just spell erosion. If you're already at the penetration cap, maybe you won't put few points in Mastered Arms because as a Nightblade you have a lot of direct damage abilities. So you also boost them a little bit. You need to decide. Then here, it's all like the CP setup is on my website, exactly how it's listed here. Also keep in mind the website is always more up to date. I might change a few things throughout the pack. Please also make sure to subscribe. I will definitely upload more content in the future. Now skills. Impale, this is our execute, ciphering attacks. You want to keep this up because it helps you with sustain. Just make sure not to activate it before it runs out. Otherwise you will not get the huge Magicka tick. Funnel health, our single target ability. You see, it's very cheap and it's one of the reasons why we can sustain so good. Force pulse 2.4k Magicka, funnel 1.7k. It also heals you. Then Merciless Resolve gives us minor berserk, 8% more overall damage, same buff as combat prayer though. And the spectral bow, which deals a lot of damage. Direct damage ability, direct damage ability. But we have the fire stuff here. Fury Rage, our ultimate, AoE ultimate. Basically, always use this prior to execute phase. AoE bar, Blockade of Storms. This can apply concussion and also off balance. And just overall a really strong dot. Crippling Grasp. The single target dot. When we put this on the enemy, you see, let's see, 5.4k crit. 5.7k. So even though we applied the single target dot on the back bar on our shock bar, once we weapon swap, it will get the damage boost. You see, I apply one dot and the Vulcan procs like crazy already. Harness Magicka. This is a must-have for every Magicka build. If you don't use it, you're going to die. Because as you can see, it's a 15k shield. Twisting Puff, also really strong AoE, top of the Blockade of Storms. Then we have Soul Harvest, and there's two reasons. First off, in the execute phase, we are using Soul Harvest, so we reapply all our dots basically on the enemy, then use Soul Harvest, then you want to impale. You will deal an insane amount of damage because it boosts your damage by 20%. On trash fights, every time a mob dies, you see, while slotted, anytime you kill an enemy, you gain 10 ultimate. So that's why it's on the back bar as well. Every time you heavy attack and the mob rips, you get 10 ultimate points, which means we can use Fury Rage faster again. I will slot Elemental Drain instead of the shield here, otherwise I never kill this target. Now this is mostly to show the rotation. Like, you can get way more DPS with a different setup on the target dummy. This is a dungeon and trial build. So I just want you to understand the rotation. Now the build is set up, or the bars are set up pretty easily. If you can track Blockade of Storms. Because when we are on our back bar, we apply Blockade of Storm, Light Attack, Crippling Grasp, Light Attack, Twisting Puff, Weapon Swap. Then we just light attack with funnel. And when we have a spectral bow, we use a spectral bow. One second before blockade runs out, while you're funneling, you weapon swap, you reapply blockade, crippling, twisting. There is kind of two chunks, two parts of the rotation. Your back bar, reapply this, weapon swap. On the front bar, you want to keep ciphering attacks up and your Merciless Resolve. After using the Spectral Bow twice, what I do is before I weapon swap, I use it and swap, because you can animation cancel this really nice. This is the full animation, this is animation cancel. Just heads up. Okay, the rotation. Now we should get the kind of the idea of the rotation. As you see, you might think, oh, we're dropping low on Magicka. How can we sustain this? Not really a problem, because healers in dungeons and trials need to have orbs. And you see, if you activate the synergy, you get 4k Magicka back. So it's pretty easy to sustain. Plus, in case you still drop low, you could use this or just do a few heavy attacks. But you have seen, like, it works more or less good with heavy attacks, light attack rotation. Just to quickly show you why we got those numbers. You see, Blockade of Storms, the highest, and Twisting Puff. So your two AoE abilities are also the highest single target damage ability. It's kind of hilarious, to be honest. Light Attack next, Crippling Grasp. Then we have Funnel Health, Light Attack, Assassin's Will. And you see, the Assassin's Will max hit 50k, it's a lot, it hits really hard. Impale as well, 50k ticks. With Soul Harvest up. In a raid, when you have aggressive Warhorns, it will even hit harder. Might go up to like 60, 70k. This is the ultimate I used once. Now, charged weapon, this is the shock glyph I have on my front bar. Did 1.8k, so it's actually really strong. And it applies minor vulnerability, which is concussion. So 53% of the time we had 8% more damage from vulnerability. And 73% of the time we had 10% more damage from off balance through the champion points perk here. Very important. And how did off balance proc? While concussion was up and Blockade of Storm is up, off balance procs. You can see our spell crit sits at like 53%. And overall we had 52% crits. You can actually see it 57, 56, 49. So our two strong stabilities were actually over our average crit rating. Yeah. Other than that, don't think there's anything important. Minor Magicka Steel, this is the Elemental Drain, gives you 252. In a raid or dungeon, healer will apply it, because you need to have Harness Magicka here, otherwise you're going to die. But otherwise I couldn't sustain on this dummy. Yes, I didn't forget anything. Just remember, if you're new to this, test it out, change things. Maybe about the Vulcan. You see, it did 1.2k damage. It's actually pretty strong. And another thing I want to mention. This is shock damage, shock, shock. And we have fire, fire, fire. And all the others are magic damage more. So you have a lot of different types, damage types. That's it for now. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that sexy like button if the video was useful. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.